In a world bracing for peace, one question remains unanswered. Why wouldn't Putin agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine? With intensifying drone attacks, rising global stakes, and an economy walking in a tightrope, the answer is more complex and more dangerous than it seems. Let's explore what is fueling Putin's resistance, the role of the latest drone strikes, and what it means for you and the global market. As of today, the Russian-Ukraine war continues with no meaningful breakthrough in diplomacy. Both sides are engaged in heavy exchanges, with Ukraine ramping up long-range drone strikes into Russian territory. Energy infrastructure, military bases, and symbolic ties have all been targeted. Russia, in turn, has escalated its airstrikes on Ukraine cities, doubling down on military assault. Despite losses on both sides, neither is showing signs of backing down. And that's precisely where the story begins. So why is Putin holding his ground? Firstly, this war has become central to his domestic narrative. It's not just geopolitical move anymore. It's tied to his regime's survival. Appearing weak or compromising could lead to a political unrest at home. To back it up, any ceasefire that cedes territory or reflects poorly on Russian dominance would be seen as a defeat, a concept Putin has repeatedly refused to entertain both publicly and internally. Third, Putin believes that time is on Russia's side. He's betting on Western fatigue, political distance in Europe and US, and a weakening support for Ukraine. In the last 2 weeks, Ukraine's drone campaign had stepped into new territory, literally and strategically. Drones have reached deep into Russian heartlands, including strikes near oil depots, military airfields, and in regions that were once considered safe. The message, "No war is immune." But here is a kicker. The attacks, while symbolic and strategically irritating, are also provoking a hardening stance from Moscow. They allow Putin to justify more aggressive actions and rally nationalist sentiments. Instead of pushing Putin towards peace, they might drive him deeper into confrontation mode. To Putin, agreeing to ceasefire now would be a tantamount of waving the white flag. He needs to project strength, both the Russian elite and his international allies in China, Iran, and North Korea. With the war now defining his legacy, anything short of victory would be perceived as betrayal. In fact, Russian propaganda is working overtime to frame the drone strike as an act of terrorism, not self-defense, further justifying the extended conflict. This hardline framing is making it even harder to shift towards de-escalation. A prolonged war with no ceasefire has a ripple effect, especially in the markets. Energy pipeline, with pipelines, refineries, and trade routes under threat, crude oil and natural gas futures have been bouncing unpredictably. Europe remains especially vulnerable depending on how much further the conflict escalates. Defense stock companies like Lockheed Martin, Rheinmetall are surging as NATO countries ramp up defense spending, a trend unlikely to reverse anytime soon. Food security, on the other hand, Ukraine is a key grain exporter. Interruptions have created volatility in food commodity and markets, and potential inflation pressure globally. Risk sentiments, wherein every new drone attack, particularly those on Russian soil, spooks global market. Investors are increasingly turning defensive, favoring gold, treasuries, and stable large-cap tech. So what should our strategy be? What should investors be watching right now? Energy exposure is a double-edged sword. High potential, high risk. If you are in oil or natural gas stocks, be ready for turbulence. Defense contracts are seeing a steady inflow as long as the war escalates. ETFs tracking global defense are up year to date. Gold and commodities are gaining renewed attention as inflation hedges and geopolitical safe havens. Tech and AI stocks, while not directly related, could still be affected by overall market risk sentiments. Capital tends to rotate out of growth into value during prolonged uncertainty. Despite the grim outlook, diplomacy isn't all dead. Multiple back channels, including Turkey, China, and even the Vatican, are rumored to be facilitating indirect talks. The challenge is both sides getting into a basic terms. For now, peace looks distant but not impossible. What could shift the tide? A dramatic battlefield turn? Domestic political changes in Russia or in Ukraine? Major international pressure, maybe from China? Until then, market will continue to trade on fear, not on fundamentals. Russia-Ukraine war is now as much as a Russia-Ukraine war is now as much as a psychological battle as it's a military one, with recent drone strikes escalating tension. Putin has little intensive to step back. For investors and observers, the message is clear. Brace for more volatility, more uncertainty, and a long road ahead. Stay informed, stay diversified, and don't let the fear guide your decision. What do you think is stopping this ceasefire? Let me know in comments. Do you believe peace is possible this year? Drop your thoughts below. Thanks a lot for watching.